Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talking Horses. Andy Serling in the clubhouse studio here at Aqueduct. David Aragona from the Daily Racing Forum. To my left, to be joining me to talk about today's 8-race card here at Aqueduct. First things first, head on over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member, we'll match up to a $200 deposit. Use the promo code Big A. And the Big A, I think the Big A is calling like half the card today. Probably the latter half of the card. But so a lot of Big A around here. And today, if you bet $100 or more on Golden Gate through the app, you'll get a $10 bonus back. And David, we were talking a little bit off camera and talking in my office before about the track the last couple of days, because I think we've been dealing with a track where, and I'm curious your opinions, I think speed has done well, but I don't think we're dealing with some sort of huge bias by any means.
No, it's not like some kind of rail bias, and it's not that kickback situation that we were noticing back in the middle of November. Just seems like maybe the performances of some horses who went wire to wire or gate to wire were slightly exaggerated. Maybe they earned buyers that were like 5 points higher than you expected, but I don't think it's some really strong bias where you want to significantly downgrade these performances in the future.
I agree, and it's one of the reasons we want to talk about yesterday's third race where Warstopper, the Rui Rodriguez, fourth-time starter, and continuation, this first-time starter for Dane Kabisky ran 1-2, and this was a race, and we talked about a bit, where Orlando Noda was very high in his firster, and the horse obviously couldn't compete in the situation, where Warstopper got a 94 buyer to win, and we were talking about it a bit, and you know, I don't know what Warstopper is, and it is, you and I both thought he had a good chance in the race, but we also didn't expect him to go from a 66 buyer to a 94 buyer. But the fact that he won by 4 lengths and the second horse was 21 3/4 clear of the third horse, I don't think the track helped. You can't say the track helped the winner, but then it would have hurt the runner-up.
No,
I just think these horses both ran very well.
No, and you could see coming around the far turn that Warstopper was going to run a huge race because he was laying down some legitimate fractions and he was doing it so easily, and everybody else was off the bridle except for the runner-up who was making a move. No, he's got a dirt pedigree. I don't know why they ran him the first 2 times on the turf. But you know, we saw Rudy wake up that horse, Not That Brady, with a really big figure last year.
Yeah,
he turned into a good horse. Kind of reminded me of that a little bit. So
that's
based
great,
on this kind of performance, he's one that could do some damage in stakes.
Yeah, Not That Brady was like 70 to, wasn't he a crazy price one day?
Yeah, he was like, I think when he was second before he broke
the Brad Cox, I think Brad Cox beat him with a favor. Linda or Brad Cox beat him with a favor. Was it Beachside beat him? Or was Beachside? Yeah, and yeah, he ran this huge race, and then he came back. You're right, and he no, it was just some food for thought. And you know, we were talking about yesterday's 8th race, the Safe Florida Sandy, and Arthur's Tale. Okay, Arthur's Tale ran a 98 buyer, speed in the rail. He's run fast figures before, and he's a much different horse, and he's allowed to control, as Kendrick let him do yesterday. But if it helped him a lot, it shouldn't have helped the second and third horses, yet both of them ran career best buyers. So I don't know that you can say it's some track that was pushing speed along.
No, I mean, the reason you liked Arthur's Hope was because he had run these 95 and 100 buyers in the past when he had gotten situations where he could control in the lead. And if he controlled on the lead in the Safe Florida Sandy, we were expecting him to get back to those races, and he did. So it shouldn't be some huge surprise in retrospect that he got that kind of number. And look, T Loves a Fight has been in great form, and it seems like his buyers just keep trending in the right direction. So it's not a huge shock that he ran well again, too.
No, I agree. Yeah, and I agree with Arthur's Tale is one of those horses, or Arthur's Hope. I always think Arthur's Tale, the horse that ran second in the Uncle Wood Memorial. I always had an affinity for that horse. Tommy Albertrani trained him. He is a horse that's never won a race when he hasn't been the speed. No. Anyhow, we'll move on to today's first race, a race where we agree. And for me, and I'll let you talk because you're big on these Mott filly first-time starters, I just didn't like the horses that ran. And I kept going, I don't really want to take Rude Awakening at 7 furlongs. Maybe Make or Break will run better. They're going to overbet the 7, and do I really need it at a short price? And I thought, you know what? Mott's got a 3-year-old filly. David loves his stat. Horse is a half to a horse that won here the other day, but it's the only one from that family that could run.
Yeah, so Common Courtesy just kind of feels like one of these Bill Mott horses that might do well first time out, because I know he's not a guy that you think of as having success first time out, but this is a stat that we've highlighted now for feels like 2 or 3 years. 3-year-old fillies, first-time starters in dirt sprints. He just has great numbers, and this stat has been pretty much the same going back, you know, the past 3 seasons. He just consistently wins at a high rate with these horses, and Common Courtesy feels like she's catching the right kind of field because the works look pretty solid. You mentioned that this horse is a half-to-house limit. There's good pedigree in the second generation, too. The second down is Passing Shot, who won the personal ensign back in the day.
Do you remember her win? She beat a 1-9 Bobby Frankel horse. She beat Wild Spirit.
Really?
She Wild
Oh,
Spirit by a nose.
That's a blast from the
I'm
past.
almost sure it was her. I think Jose Santos rode her.
Okay.
And she beat Wild Spirit by a nose. Wild Spirit was a monster.
Yeah, she
That
was good.
race,
She came up from South America.
She
right?
did, and I think her first race in this country was the Apple Blossom for some reason. I think she ran like a giant figure, like 110 or something.
Wow.
Yeah, she was a good horse.
Yeah, no, this feels like if anybody can run in this field a little bit as a first-time starter, they're going to do well, because I don't like Senga Kontaket that much. I just didn't think she did much running last time, and maybe the turnback helps her a little bit, but she's going to take money just because.
Right, and if you say that Persisto won her last race, well, how did Inda Win run in that race?
Not well.
They're just, you know,
Yeah.
I agree. So, yeah, it's sort of a pick by default. You're much more on these mott things than I am. I don't pick first-time starters that often, but your pick in the top pick was scratched in race number 2, and we'll show Wisconsin Knight, as Linda Rice will. She didn't scratch horses today, so she can continue her quest for 2,000. She's three back, I think?
I think 3.
3, yeah. Wisconsin Knight is supposed to win today, and the racetrack will help her, but I'm going to try to beat her with a Braxton. Wisconsin Knight is just continually losing races she's supposed to win. She had no excuse to lose 3 back when she was on a good rail. She really didn't run particularly well 2 back, and she's not supposed to lose this race last time.
No, I really liked that Teletype was in this race because I thought she was the alternative that I wanted. I liked her a little bit in this race. I don't want Wisconsin Knight on top for all the reasons that you mentioned. And Abraxan, you just got to hope the turnback wakes her up, because maybe she didn't want to go the mile after all. She does have that win going a mile in the past, but that could have been a little bit fluky because she has looked like more of a sprinter generally in her career. We'll see.
I'll give you another case for her. She may not like moisture in the track, and you know this is not something I'm big on.
No.
But she has not run particularly well on racetracks that have had moisture in them. And I thought she actually ran pretty well 2 back, because she was towards the inside, under a lot of pressure, and then she stunk last time.
I liked her last time too.
She was bad, and she's supposed to be better than that. And maybe she just took a step backward and she's just no good and she won't win. She's the right alternative, but you're dealing now with a 4-horse field. Excuse me. Speaking of smaller fields, we've got 5 in race number 3. It's crazy scratches out of this race.
Yeah,
I
surprising.
mean, 2 of the major contenders came out of this race. You and I end up on the same horse here, but this race has a dearth of speed, but do you really think the Tour de Force is going to wire the field?
I can't trust Tour de Force. I mean, he got to the lead last time and it didn't help him at all. He just doesn't look like the same horse anymore. It just looks like Street Trust is really logical at this point. I mean, he did run poorly first off the claim for Ray Handel at Parks last time, but I never want to put too much stock in those Parks races. If you watch that race, it was a good sealed racetrack, and there were other short prices in that race that just didn't show up for whatever reason. In particular, there was a horse, King Koa, who I think was also like 5-2 in there. He just ran an unusually poor race for him and came right back and won with an 88 buyer. So I'm hoping that Street Trust can rebound in similar fashion, and he just feels like one that really wants to go the mile and an 1/8 distance, and I'm not sure all the others do.
No, I agree. I felt the same way you did about him. I picked him on top over Royal Albert Hall, but we're now talking about a horse that's going to be close to favoritism. I think you have a stat for Shalako, and it's a stat that I saw as well. Rui Rodriguez's numbers off of wins in general, they're not that good in general, and this one moving up, not particularly strong.
And it might seem like he got back to form last time, but did he really? Because that field was just kind of pitiful, and he got a very good ride from Julio Correa that day that really helped him along. This is a tougher spot for him.
Yeah, I thought he beat a super hungry field and I agree with you, got a very good trip in there. I'm not a huge fan of that horse. And I mean, I don't really know where else to go. Orpheus won taking advantage of circumstance last time against a weak field. They were aggressive and there was no pace whatsoever, and one of the speeds got left in there, which helped him. So they'll probably try to be aggressive again. I don't see him being in front of Tour de Force, though.
No, but Tour de Force could quit after a half mile, so maybe that helps Orpheus.
No, I agree.
We'll see.
It gives him a chance. There's not a lot going on in here. You and I both went in the same direction with Street Trust for similar reasons. Race number 4, I did think race number 4 was an interesting race. And one of the reasons I think it's an interesting race is I know you've got the horse second and I've got her 4th, but I really think you're supposed to be betting against I'm Fine in here.
There are a number of reasons. Did you send in the replay for her or no?
I did not.
Yeah.
I should have. I even have it because she's been entered a zillion times. She got rained off.
On the dirt, not on the turf.
She was entered on the turf. Oh no, she was entered at least once on the turf. At least once and got rained off. But why is she supposed to be better on the dirt?
I don't know. She's a half to Galadriel's Light and another horse who was probably a little bit better on the turf.
Remind me of Galadriel's Light was.
That Linda Rice horse that ended up going to the turf eventually. She was running in those races against that Chad Brown horse last year, and
That Chad Brown horse is about 7,000.
also Milana as a
Oh, okay.
2-year-old.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I
She ended
remember.
up going to the turf.
Right. She's not much.
Yeah, she's a little better on the turf. The dam is a half to West Coast, and there is dirt pedigree on the dam
But it's
side.
a lot more it's
But
turf production.
Closer up, it's more turf, and Blame has been a little bit more of a turf sire, you could say. And this filly ran really well on the turf in her debut. If you watched that race at Ellis Park, it was a really eventful trip. She kind of got squeezed back early and was slower out of the gate, moved up, made multiple moves during that race to get into third, had to alter course in the stretch. I mean, based on that performance, she has some ability, but the stats for Jeremiah Engelhardt are not good, going turf to dirt, and also, you know, don't want to be hard on a barn that's struggling, but if you look at his NYRA stats over the past 2 months, he's 1 for 34.
No, I agree with that. And the thing I would say about the Jeremiah turf to dirt is he didn't run this horse in the turf first time. So I just feel like these are the kind of horses that people default to, and she can obviously win, but you're not supposed to be taking this horse. And what's an interesting race, and I think, you know, obviously I saw the same things you did, and you know I've seen these stats as well. In fact, I have the exact same stats. It's funny because I noticed with the stats, 3 of the 4, I had the exact same stats written, and I had it for the one you have for Micro Million.
Yeah, Micro Million just feels like the kind of horse that might be able to do a lot better on the stretch out. Look, she's hard to recommend off her 2 early season 2-year-old races from last year because they were really poor fields, and the horse that beat her last time came back and had an unusual trip, but didn't run particularly well.
She got better. I liked her
because she got bet off the board.
Todd has similar stats with these maidens making their second starts off extended layoffs, and she didn't break well, and she was misbehaving the whole race.
She was.
It was a weird race.
And this horse, Micro Million, has a big route pedigree. She's by Micromanage, who wanted to run all day. I think he even won the Birdstone up at Saratoga, going 1 3/4 miles.
It's hard to keep them straight. They all have the same name.
Yeah, the dam side, mostly route pedigree as well. The dam's actually a half to No Biz Like Showbiz, who was a Wood Memorial winner. So there's route pedigree
Who's a
there.
half to? He's a half to one of my favorite horses.
No Biz Like Showbiz? I don't know.
He's a half to one of the. I believe he's a half to Albert the Great, isn't he?
He's by Albert the Great.
Oh, he's by Albert the Great?
He's
Okay.
by Albert the Great.
He's the only Albert the Great that could run?
Yeah, that's right.
That's why I remember
And
him. I
Micro
loved
Million,
Albert
I've
the Great.
watched a couple of the workouts on XBTV down at Palm Beach Downs. She actually outworked that horse, Sneaky Surprise. They were working in company together. So
That's a good thing.
yeah. So maybe she's doing okay coming into this race. Just feels like one that might like the stretch out.
No, I agree. She is very much in my play, and I was thinking of picking her on top as well. I think there's a number of alternatives. The 9 Sure Stitch, it's not just, I understand why. I mean, don't get carried away that they ran Sure Stitch in the stake first time and say, oh, boy, they must have thought a lot of this horse to run in the stake first time. It was a $500,000 purse.
Yeah. Everyone
Only
was
an
taking a shot.
idiot wouldn't take a shot at that, and that's why it got a big field, and that's why there were a lot of horses in there that had no chance. Because if you had a horse in your barn that could run in that race, you were supposed to try to get into that race. So I don't blame them. But this horse was only 16 to 1 in there. This horse could. You realize, by the way, this horse was 2/3 the price of the winner.
Yeah.
And that was a horse that we made a
hilarious.
lot of money with, and you picked on top, and I'd picked third, so we can at least pretend we like the horse. But this horse took some money in that race, and boy, has she found the right field for Charlie Baker.
She did a little bit of running at the end of that
Yes.
race. Doesn't look like based on the running line, but she was
little
trying
bit.
towards
Yep.
the end.
I agree.
It is more of a turf pedigree on the dam side, but it is route pedigree, so maybe she'll improve on the stretch out.
I put the horse on top, and I'm not thrilled with Dancing Kiki either. I'm going to focus in on the 1 and 9.
Yeah,
the main
there is
two
a
horses
pleasure
here.
firster in this race, and I just want to
Yes.
mention her because it looks on the surface of things like she has some really attractive pedigree because the
It's a good
dam is
dam.
a very good horse. Here's a stat about some info about the dam. She sold as a broodmare in 2007 for $4.5 million. After producing nothing but duds.
She's been
they
terrible.
sold her again in 2016 for $20,000.
Did they really?
Yep.
Wow, what a shame. She was such a good
She was
horse.
a good
Like
horse.
$900,000.
Yeah.
Was she Stronach?
Stronach. Yep.
Yeah. She's been a horrible producer.
Yep, terrible.
But she was some racehorse, I agree. And Todd trained her. Race number 5. Good luck with your horse in here. I tried her last time.
I was surprised you didn't pick her too.
I tried her last time. I don't like this horse. Yeah, I don't like the Quietude. She's a plotter. We'll talk about logical horses in this race first. Prairie Fire is the horse to beat. We'll show her last race, and we'll show you a stat right afterwards. I do feel like she's a last time was the time horse, but I agree with you that she didn't get the best of trips 2 back.
Yes, and actually this is the exact reason why I like Quietude. So Prairie Fire was able to take advantage in this race of a little bit more of an aggressive ride, and also a situation where there wasn't as much speed, and I don't think she's a horse that wants to be rallying from way far back in the pack. That could be a problem here because she is going to be a little further back with more speed in this race. Linda Rice does very well off short rest like this, whether you're looking at just all horses coming back on 1 to 9 day layoffs, even if you narrow it down to horses coming off wins, she's 5 for 9 in this situation. So she just really does well when she's striking while the iron is hot. This filly, though, doing it twice in a row. This is her 3rd race in the span of 2 weeks. That's a pretty aggressive schedule, even for Linda. So we'll see. I feel like she's going to be a pretty short price in here because she's coming off that victory.
That's why I didn't put her on top. And I put Collegeville Girl on top. She's not going to be exactly that big a price. And we'll show Collegeville Girl winning her race 2 back. And I'm not sure why she was 6 to 5 last time because, frankly, I actually thought Mary's Girl ran better than she did in this race because Mary's Girl was outside the whole way, and Collegeville Girl spent almost the entire race on the rail. And I don't understand why this horse was no more in favorite. She also ran so badly that something went wrong because she is a funny horse, right? She's got 3 really good races and 4 horrifically bad races. So I don't know. If she shows up, I feel like she's going to run. And the other thing is, she can be very forward in this race.
Yeah, she's a little difficult to nail down because she does have those good races. She's coming in off 2 bullet workouts, so maybe that's a good sign. Maybe she's doing better now. Based on the races she's run, she's arguably the most talented horse in this race. It's just you don't know if she's going to show up or not. The reason I like Quietude is because if we liked Prairie Fire off her trip 2 back, we're supposed to like Quietude even more because Quietude had an even tougher trip in that race than Prairie Fire. She was down inside on the turn. Prairie Fire was actually the one that was keeping her inside. She got stuck behind one of those tiring Finger Lakes horses coming to the quarter pole.
She also broke slow.
She broke slow. Well, she broke slowly, and also was just—she's a closer. So
she's a plotter. She's a plotter. There's not a lot Dylan can do with her. She's just a plotter.
And
you just have to
hope she shows up. A horse like that is always going to be compromised in a 13-horse field. It's another big field again today, but she was really running at the end of that race. I thought she was actually running a little better than Prairie Fire at the end, and she had the tougher trip. And if you look through her races, she's run enough speed figures that put her in the mix here, and she's been in some tougher spots at this level. And I think there's a lot of just filler in this race and horses that I don't like at all, and she's going to get sort of lost in the shuffle.
That's fair, and I did think about putting her 3rd. The difference, my difference of opinion with you and the Prairie Fire discussion is I thought that Jose got lost on Prairie Fire, and that's not the way Prairie Fire wants to be.
She doesn't have a lot of speed.
No, but she's not that slow.
No.
And there's nothing Dylan can do about Quietude. I'm tough on Dylan sometimes, even though I think he's a fine rider. I just wish he was more aggressive at times. There's nothing he can do with Quietude.
No,
she's just
going to
a
be
plotter.
Towards the back again. But, you know, there is a little bit of speed in this race. I mean, I think I said in the pace projector, over time Olivia's always going to make a lead in these races, and she's going to set an honest pace because that's just the way that she runs. So if she comes back to the field, the race might be able to fall apart a little bit. Quietude does need the trip to be in her favor, but she's better than she looks, and I feel like she's going to be an overlay.
Well, sporadically, she's better than she looks. She's a weird horse. She's run some terrific races at times. She had that big win here, like 20 to 1 last year when she circled the field. She runs a race like that, she's going to win. All fair points. I'm not. The horse in this race that ran really well last time, that's very hard to take, is Whale and Josie.
Yeah.
I thought Whale and Josie actually ran a terrific race last time with a big wide trip in there. I just don't know. Tough rider to take in that and a price,
I don't know. It was a slow race.
Let me ask you another question. You talk about that race. What about my last million, who gets a big rider switch to Eric? And I know Eric hasn't had a great week, but he had been riding very well.
Yeah.
Back to some of his bad habits this week, though.
She didn't do really any running last time and just sort of got closer at the end because the race fell apart. She might get a better ride here. She was sort of just outside with nowhere, just in no man's land last time. But she's got to wake up a little bit because she's been a disappointment for me. I've tried her in the past.
I'm not thrilled with her. I think those 2 horses are a little more interesting at prices, but I hear you in Quietude. It's fair. And she's a price. Listen. Race number 6. Race number 6, I was going to get wacky and try the 5 with Scratch Near Might Be because I think we have a very similar opinion. We're not overly thrilled with the favorites. We'll show you the Veradia takes charge. She takes charge race. If Veradia runs her last race, she's as big as she should be 1 to 9 in this race. She can't lose, and she's been in great form. I'm going to get on the soapbox again when the C takes charge. This is why people need to relax when they think that some rider was pulling some shenanigans, because the whole world on Twitter accused Joel Rosario of pulling a fast one 2 back. And as it turned out, she's just not that good.
No.
But She can be more forwardly placed today. And with the blinkers on, I'm hoping she's more forward, and I just didn't want to take Verady on top, and I'm not thrilled with your horse.
My problem with She Takes Charge is I don't love her going the mile. Why does she have to be a router? She ran so well in her sprint races, and she won those races so easily. It's like, why are we focusing on these mile races when there are other opportunities?
I agree. Have there been other opportunities for her? That's the question.
There have. At this, they've run this.
They run the non-winners at 2 other than
I think
going shorter?
I'm pretty sure.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
The
And I don't
other
want
day,
to. But I agree. I agree. This horse is better off
the
going
one,
shorter.
the race that the Toscano horse that we like won.
Oh.
She could have been in there.
Oh my gosh, she would have slaughtered that.
She would have.
Thank
She would have
God
gotten the right
wasn't.
trip.
Thank God she wasn't in there.
Yeah. Forgotten hero. Yeah, I just don't.
We should thank her at Magna for not running her there.
I just don't love her going the distance, and we'll see.
I am concerned about that as well.
Yeah, we'll see if she's on the lead here, because that is going to help, because there's just no speed
She
in this
needs
race.
to be more forward, because she's not going to finish.
Especially
So
drawing
she
the rail.
needs to
I don't
be
think she's the kind of
forward,
horse you want to get in behind horses. I agree about Veradia. It's just you got 6-1 on her last time when she seemed like she should have been 5-2. And
I think that she should be 6-5 or even money here today.
She's supposed to be
I
favored.
really do. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not running the window to bet her, but I'm sorry. She's won 4 straight races impressively. She's running better every time,
Yeah.
and if she runs back to her anywhere close to her last race, she'll slaughter
It's
this
just
field.
you kind of can't forget that she was a 12-5 claimer a few months ago.
You and I will never bet horses like this
No.
today. Like I didn't bet her last 2 times either, so I'm not anything clever. I am going to tell you something. I am not a big fan of your horse, More Mischief.
I'm on the fence about her. I wish she wasn't trained by Chad Brown, because she probably should be about 5-1 in this race, and she's going to be probably closer to 5-2 or 3-1. She did run well this day.
3-1? You have no chance. Chad Brown in the winter here at Aqueduct?
Yeah, maybe not. We'll
He
see.
could run a goat.
Yeah,
and
there are
of
only
course
three
it'd be
horses. There are only
3-1.
3 horses to bet in this
Right.
race. She ran well this day. I don't know if it was the slop, even though she had never shown an
She ran
affinity for
poorly
the
in the
slop
slop in her
before.
debut.
She hated it in her
Saratoga.
debut, and that was her excuse that day. But, Mary's girl's been in good form, and I thought she beat her pretty easily this day. And she's been in a lot of sprint races where she gets a little bit outrun early. She's a horse who, if you watch her races and watch her training, she's really headstrong, and she hasn't been in a race where she can sort of be forwardly placed in the past. So I'm just kind of hoping they let her use her speed out of the gate. There's not a lot of speed in this race, so if She Takes Charge doesn't really want to go, maybe she can be forwardly placed this time. Don't know about the mile, but I don't think she's got to be some superstar to beat this field if Veradia regresses a little bit.
And in theory, she has more upside than the other horses in this race. Yeah. The point, though, about Mary's Girl, and you know that I'm Mary's Girl's biggest fan. I've been championing her cause for quite a while. That 74 buyer she ran that day sticks out like a sore thumb, and you can look at it because she's the 8 horse in this race. She's really a good 5 points lower. Now, the reality is that low to mid 70s is still good enough to compete here, especially if you're suspect of Veradia running back to her last race. I'm not her biggest fan. I just feel like she'll be overbet because of Chad. But listen, I thought he was wildly overbet with that non-winners of 1 that I don't particularly like in the stake yesterday at Gulfstream, and the horse won. Now, that's a different situation. That was Chad Brown showing extreme confidence with a horse, and that's something you don't see in those situations that often, and he's not a trainer that wants to embarrass himself. Not that other trainers want to as well. Race number 7, the Rego Park. Lost Convict in here. We'll show the Dream Bigger Silly K race. Dream Bigger's chances got a lot better with Convict coming out. You and I are going to try to beat with Silly K, but I'm not as confident. But I did like the last race.
Yeah, Dream Bigger does have a significant pace advantage now with Convict not in the race. But I did like the run that Silly K put in here, because this was right smack dab in the middle of that time when it was really difficult to run through kickback in the middle of November. And he didn't care. He took all that dirt in his face around the far turn, came off the rail in the stretch, and he was just relentless. I mean, it looked like he was going to flatten out when he switched leads, but he just kept coming for Jose Lozcano last time. Got to get the 6.5 furlongs, got to get a little bit of pace ahead of him, which he's probably not going to get here. But this horse is moving in the right direction for Linda Rice, and I mean, it seems like all of her runners have been firing lately, so I like him as the alternative. As do you.
I like this horse. He's stepping up and improving from every start. Dream Bigger's good. I'm not going to knock Dream Bigger.
And he should have won last time.
7 furlongs may have been a little far for him. He got a little unlucky to lose. He's a good horse, Dream Bigger. I don't have any illusions that's like, oh, he's really a phony. I don't think he's a phony at all. I think all of his efforts are totally legit.
Yeah. I do wonder if they might change up the tactics on Notorious Flirt a bit with Kendrick Carmouche aboard. He showed a lot of speed 2-back. They didn't use it last time, but with no speed in this race, Linda might want her horses to have different running styles, so we'll see.
I agree. Notorious Flirt ran very well showing speed. I would argue Notorious Flirt actually ran better 2-back. than last time.
He
He was very fortunate to win last time, and he was unfortunate to not be second last time. What has happened to Harris Bay?
He looked so promising in that debut. I mean, he beat Dream Bigger fair and square that day.
Yep.
It's the race last time that's really disappointing because
awful.
he just had no punch in the stretch. He was supposed to be better on the turn back. It just seems like he hasn't gone on.
I agree. I watched his replay originally thinking he might be the interesting one.
Yeah.
And then in watching it, I thought, boy, he didn't run at all. And I realized just how well Silly K ran in there. So we'll see what happens. Race number 8, closing out the card today. Where are we? You are going to, we're all second-time starters here. You've taken Kilmarnock?
Kilmarnock or Kilmarnock. I wish I had sent in this replay because there's actually a lot to see if you go and watch this horse's debut.
Come on, Justin, get the replay. Come on.
Because
Fred's here. You can't.
It's one of those
get Fred to
foggy
do it.
days
Can't
where
blame Fred.
if you just watch the pan shot, they're actually showing the head-on coming out of the gate, and you can easily see how much trouble this horse gets into. Not that he had to steady per se and lose a ton of ground, but he's in a really precarious position in between horses, and Eric Consell just couldn't really ride him down the backstretch. He was trying to be aggressive, but he was just in this really tight spot. Eventually got shuffled back coming into the far turn. And given the difficulty this horse had in the first quarter mile, he never gave up. And he was still running on at the end of that race. Rob Falcone's a trainer that just hasn't really had firsters cranked up to win first time out at all, so it stands to reason they can do better second time out. And I didn't love the field he was coming out of, but Microscope did come back to run about 15 points faster next time. And
He ran big the next time.
Yeah, I just don't love the maiden special weight drop downs in here, and I feel like this horse could get a little bit overlooked.
I'm going to use him, and I'll use him more so on your say-so. I just took the obvious, the Steve Asmussen second-time starter with Bronze Lion, who they're giving up on Bronze Lion awfully quickly,
He took a lot of money
which
first time
bothers
out.
me. Well, he had a big pedigree.
Yep.
I mean, he's supposed to, and don't forget, he was 5-1, and Convict got bet, and the second horse, More Grateful, was very good, and he's the one who was unlucky to lose behind Notorious Flirt last time. He should have won, and he was bet strong. So that was a 5-1 that, in a funny way, was like 2-1 in a lot of races because there was serious money and other firsters in there. But they are giving up awfully quickly on him. And then there's Future Book on the outside. I like the cutback with Future Book, but I don't know.
I wanted to see more last time. He just didn't step forward at all, and I'm feeling like maybe he's just not that good.
I think they agree, and that's why they're dropping in for 40. You've got firsters in here. It's hard for you when you have these races because you've got this Wesley Ward firster, and you're kind of obligated to make the horse 5-2, knowing the horse could be anywhere from 8-5 to 8-1.
You don't know, yeah.
Right.
I mean, the workouts look okay. It's bred to be quick, although it's more of like turf synth pedigree. The dam was actually... She ran really well in her debut. She debuted going 5 furlongs at Gulfstream and was second to Celestine.
Really?
That good Bill Mott horse.
Wow.
Yeah.
Remember the race she ran in the Just a Game, and she never ran again.
131 and change.
Unbelievable.
I know.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that was a fantastic performance. But it is more of a turf synth pedigree, and we'll see. These horses can be quick. Wesley Ward's stats are better with 2-year-olds, but he can win with 3-year-olds as well. The ones that I didn't like as firsters were Mo Lightning and Cat's a Lion by the Tail because they both have big pedigrees, so I think it's kind of a negative they're debuting for a tag.
Well, also Mo Lightning. The dam she was a bullet. I mean, she was really good. She's been a disaster as a broodmare.
No. She produced one that could really run.
I'm sorry. She had the one good one, right, and the two that can't run.
This horse has a full sibling by Uncle Mo, Clip the Coop on Andy, who was a stakes winner for Tom Fletcher.
She's the one that didn't break the day we canceled after 2 or 3 races at Belmont on like a New York bred day or something.
But the full since then have been terrible. And Cat's Line by the Tail, the dam's a half to the caretaker. It's a good Chester Mary Broman family, but I mean...
Linda doesn't win a lot with these horses. And it's funny you mentioned Celestine. The thing I remember most about Celestine was, and a lot of people forget this, I'm almost sure that was the year that they sent Tepin over to Ascot.
I think you're right.
And I remember thinking she could run last at Ascot, and they were still smart to go over there because she was never going to beat Celestine that day. No. Nobody on earth, no horse was beating Celestine that day. So she was better off going to Ascot than running second in the Just a Game. People said, oh, Tepin, she can't run anymore or whatever. And it was like a free roll for her. Yeah. Anyway.
She was a nice horse.
All right, David, thank you so much. We see you again next week?
Next Sunday, I believe.
All right, thanks. That's really it. That's all we got. We got, you want slates? Sign up. Maximum $200. Promo code's Big A. $100 or more at Golden Gate through the app. And we'll give you $10. Free money at the racetrack. We leave you with that as we head upstairs to Johnny I with a reprise, the Scratches and Changes.